Okay. So we've checked, we've got our Airtable going. That's all fine. That's connecting in. The way I've changed this code is now you should be able to upload this. It's still going to be a bit focused around distilleries, but we're going to change the text later. So we've copied this over, we've saved it. We should be able to then go and do an ask deploy. So when I set this up, it did take 5 minutes or so for the database to be created, and so it just sat there not working. I did the thing of just trying to do another force, and that by the time that was halfway through updating, I tested it again and it just started working. Just make sure that you've got your permission set for the account, just so it can connect to the database. And then when you run it, I've already just done this a quick drive through just to see if it was working. Formula 1 drive. Hey. Stay for the jokes and the puns. You'll see an account gets created for that person, and there's no questions asked. I've got nothing right. I've just done this start a new game. What's going to happen now is, so do you want an easy or as hard? We can ask for an easy question,
okay. Here is your question,
but we haven't.
For 3 points. This driver
we haven't set up any intents or replies or anything like that. So it's not going to work. So even though that's going to be button, she's just going to say, I got no idea.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
And we're still linked to distilleries.
What do you think this is? This driver won the 2.
And if I say stop.
Okay, I've saved your progress. You did okay. The average score from 0 questions is 0
lovely.
points, and you scored 2.
So you can see a lovely build. I really wish they'd disappear after a bit. So I'm on English UK. You have to do this for each of them, but it's quite straightforward to do. Let's go in. We've got the slot types. This is where your answers need to go in. Wow, is there going to be an easy way of sorting that out without bulk in and out? Tell you what, let's do this. Add. We're going to have, let's just call this answers. So we're going to take our answers here. So we've got Silverstone. I can type these in, but you can do, let's do that. Slotinator.io. Generate. So slotinator.io goes through and it just creates everything that you need for your slots. I am going to keep the distillery stuff. Answers, so we're going to wedge that in. Where are we? That one is going to go in there. Save that. That should give me my answers. And then we've got our answer intent. Okay, let's get rid of these. We are going to create answer, and that's going to be linked to answer. We are going to have answers, because I like to keep them the same. Answers, add that, answers. And we are just going to put in answers there, and we'll do is it answers So they can say anything. I think that's answer. So we'll save that. Don't need any distilleries. That can go. So now this should be stripped down to just all of that. I'm going to add some synonyms. So let's make Hamilton. Let's make Alonzo, and let's make button. Save that. We're going to go into JSON editor. Copy all of that. Come back into each of the language models. Save that in there. Save that in there. So that one's right. That one's right. Don't need him. Jensen button thingy, and that's JS. So that's just a quick way of changing your languages that I use. It might be a better way of actually just copying these. So you would have all your answers. Make sure you copy these with the same spelling and everything like that. Be careful you haven't added an extra space in anything. They have to match totally on excuse me, on the answer, and they have to match on your intents. So that's why I use the slotinator. You just know that it's going to do it right. The other way you can do it is actually export and import back into. You can export it out, saves it as a CSV, and you can import it back in as a CSV. That's quite a handy thing to do. So now that we've done that, this is all going to go through. You will see messages, which is one of my modules. And this is where you have all, generally of everything that she says. There's a little bit in here. So welcome back. You currently have thingy points. Would you like to stay, start a new game? So the only real bit we need to change now is welcome to the... And let's make this distillery quiz, Formula 1 quiz. So that's going to change. Formula 1 quiz. Okay, that's the only time I ever used that. When do I ever say distillery? So which do you think this is? I suppose that's going to be what or who do you think this is? No, you didn't get that right. Pass. I think that's harder. This isn't your finest hour. You can change. So these are all your intents. These are all your answers you give. So get random incorrect. This is the first time they get it wrong. You can change this to however you want. The answer given is the answer. So this would be what they said. So if it was Alonso, but they said Lewis Hamilton, you can change that and say no, Lewis Hamilton wasn't right. My one was all distillery, so it was nice and easy to keep the text right. You're gonna have to use that for however you use that. So obviously now I'm doing a what or a who or anything like that. Yeah, that seems all. That was all incorrect. Get random. Shall we begin first? This is. Do you want an easy or hard question? Just different iterations of that. It randomly selects these each time, so you can add to this. You can have loads going on. You could just have two. Again, that's just a different way of phrasing it, which she hits later on. So this was kind of more, do you want to start? This is, okay, this is the second game you're playing. You're correct, was the right answer. You've obviously researched Formula 1 a lot. You're getting good at this. You really know Formula One. This is not going to work. I'm giving it. I think that's not going to make sense anymore. And the bottom bit. So what it does is it goes through. It takes the user score and the number total. This is when they exit the game. It uses slightly different expected values. That was the one. So you add up all the potential outcomes, which is -1, 3, 7 and 5. You add them up, which comes to 7, and there are 3 results. You divide that gives you 2.3, and then you multiply that by the number of questions that they ask. So if you change any of your if you change from -5, 5 and 10 for incorrect, pass, easy or hard, you just got to do this bit of maths, unless this bit isn't going to work. Add all your potential ones up. It's explained to me on a dice. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 on a 6-sided fair dice, and you add those all up, divide by 6, and you end up with 3.5. And so if you roll it 10 times, if you get 35, you've hit total average. If you've hit more than 35, then you are above average. And if you hit less than 35, you've done worse than what we predicted. And so this is just a way of saying, hey, you've done better than expected. Hey, you've done worse than expected. Hey, you're average. Just a nice straight way. Okay, so one last thing I forgot to mention. If you go down to the answer handler, whatever you've changed your answers to be, it was distillery originally. You have to go in. You've got the handle and the envelopes. You need to change the answer, the distillery it originally had here, to answers, or whatever answer you're going with. And that should go through, unless you're not going to be able to pick up an answer to start with. So we're just going to deploy that one last time, and then go from there. Okay, so this is now deployed. We've got our builds. I'm going to test this now. Open the distillery quiz. Formula One quiz. Got a bing.
Welcome back. You currently have -1 point.
Doing well.
You can see.
Ask for an easy question.
Here is your question for 3 points. This driver made his debut with Minardi at the Australian Grand Prix in 2001.
Okay, so I'll go for Hamilton.
No, Hamilton wasn't right. Try again or say pass.
So it recognised Hamilton, which is good. Alonso.
Correct. Fernando Alonso is the right answer. Your score is now 2 points.
Test the hard.
Okay, here is your question for 5 points. This British driver, who recently retired, hosts his own triathlon.
So we will go for the full Jenson Button.
Go you.
So
Jenson Button is what I was
that one's hitting the actual slot intent. I could have said button.
Points. I've got 2 questions.
So hard.
Okay, here is your question for 5 points.
This one will just
started his career in F1 by signing up.
Shush. This one is going to be Hamilton. So I'm just going to type in Hamilton, and hopefully
Lewis Hamilton is right. You really know Formula One. Your score is now 12 points. Would you like an easy or hard one next?
So we'll go into our DynamoDB. You'll see this is my session here, just to show you what's going on. We've got the last question asked was Lewis Hamilton, what the question was. We've answered the question now, so we're out of being asked a question. We've got 3 correct, 1 wrong. That's from a previous one when I was testing things. Times answered. That hasn't added up yet. That gets done at the bottom. Total questions. I'm not actually sure if I use that one. So you will also see we have a list of questions asked, which should be going through and adding up. What has happened is because we only have 5, we were asked 2. It's stripped off the last 3. Let's go into that quickly. But we have we've repeat question, pass, restart game. So the question manager, it keeps this list of questions. It goes through, it checks to see if it generates a random number. If that number appears in the list of ones that have already been asked, it then goes through and does it again. And then there's a bit at the bottom, if the list is greater than the number of questions -3, which we're hitting because we've only got 5 questions, so every time we do the second one, we -3. It strips off the question, and so it will keep coming back. So you will end up going around in circles towards the end, but you're supposed to have like 30, 40 questions, not 5. You will, if you go into your CloudWatch, this one does quite a few, gives you quite a lot of information about what's going on in each sessions. It's got the questions that are going in. This is what was said was Hamilton. The correct answer is Fernando Alonso. That's when I got that right. The correct was translated to Lewis Hamilton. This one I said Alonso. The correct answer is Fernando Alonso, and it translated to Fernando Alonso. So that's where the synonym is looking back to the slot. And yeah, it just goes through. You'll see the ones. Question 2 has been asked, has been seen before, is true, so it's selecting another. That's when it randomly generated it. It saw the fact that that question had already been asked, and it goes and finds another one. If they ask easy or hard, that's still the same question. So it's really to avoid people having, Silverstone, 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 even though they're asking easy or hard. But hopefully they'd be going back again and asking for an easy and a hard question separately. It's more to stop duplicating of the answers, which I think is the more annoying one when it comes to quizzes of having the same answer. When you go in, you could, let's see if I can just duplicate this, expand the table, let's add it up. So we've got lots of questions there. We're going to stop just so I don't hard exit. Open.
I've saved your progress. Wow. You did well. The average score from 2 questions.
Fire it back up with more questions.
Welcome back. You currently have 6 points. You can say start a new game to reset your score.
So now, it's found 14 questions.
Or a hard question.
It's got 15 questions there. I'll just have to go and look in to find out exactly what's going on there, but I think it was, so you could add an extra one and then it doesn't get added to it, so you could add these in real time. So each time someone goes in, they get new questions. You can update these and it's just live. It would maintain it for their session, but when they go back in, you would get all your new questions, or you can update things on there. There's nothing to stop you if you want actually just creating something and putting all your questions in there. It would make it so you can scale it a lot easier, just in case you do happen to be hitting the 5 people going to the start of it in 1 second. But I like the idea of just being able to manage my questions, change them a bit more, correct them just in case I've got something a bit weird or finding ones that aren't quite working. A couple of other things just to be aware of when it comes to the echo and being able to get your answers correctly. You have to make sure and test that she can do it vocally. You might find, I did one with wines just as a start with connecting off and doing wines. She can't understand them yet because she doesn't speak the full range of languages to understand Chateauneuf-du-Pape was coming back, and as much as you shout at her those words, it's never going to resolve to the answer. So make sure you've got something which is easy and able to distinguish between the two. So don't duplicate answers that are too similar. For instance, with Formula One, you'd want to go through the drivers you had as answers just to make sure that she can understand someone with Raikkonen and Hakkinen, for instance, just to differentiate between the two. Or you wouldn't want to use those. Equally, foreign names you're going to make sure that they resolve correctly. You've got to do some user experience rather than just typing things in, because it's not going to give you a true understanding of how it works. The best way is you can just shout out the answers and look in the console logs, and it's going to tell you if it's resolving correctly. So you'll see there what I heard is X, what the answer was expected, and what I thought this was, just to make sure that's working. You can go through and customize this to your heart's content. You can get rid of the audio source. I just threw that in there. It was a nice one for the distillery clears, just to have a bit of a clink at the start. One cool thing with the Airtable is you can actually chuck in this, because it's just it's text value. So let's just get rid of a few of these. This is what I'm going to be playing about with later. So that's all on there. If we go easy now. Oh, no, that's not right.
Here is your question for 3 points.
Got to reload it because they sit there downloaded from the start. Open formula. Counterspell Formula 1 quiz. We're going to have a ding at the start, which is programmed into the code.
Welcome back.
Easy.
Okay, here is your question for 3 points.
Bing.
This
so you can add sounds
in 2007.
into your Airtable, and you can change your sounds and have, I don't know, which years are the engine notes from this one in the Formula 1 quiz, or you could take cuts from something and have a sound effect, and that's all. You can just put your audio source code, you can make it so she says things. So I've got this one here of just makes it easier for her saying it, but you could do say as a year, but if you put 1981 together, she's going to say 1981, and so you just have to make sure you put those bits in there, but you can play about with that. That's all the SSMI section. But yeah, that's kind of how you put it together. I don't think I've missed anything. It's up and running. It should be fairly straightforward. I'm here for questions and things. If anyone has any questions or observations about it. I've released this for education and just people to kind of see how things go together. I just coded it from scratch just to see if I could create something. It's a bit like the high-low game. But it goes together a bit easier. It's expandable, and I'm quite happy for people to make quizzes and things and do anything they want with this. It would be nice if you just want to let me know it's been used. It would be nice that this thing's out there living, and perhaps someone's learnt a bit from it. I'm probably going to leave it here, edit this down, and just put it up for people to find. Yeah, I got another enjoying a whiskey too much. That'd be an interesting one in Formula 1. Just going to start insulting people's drinking habits for no apparent reason. Anyway, have a play about with it. Let me know if things go through. Try different quizzes. See you all again. Cheers.